Hello, my name is Simon and welcome to AFC Bournemouth Analysis. I've been a bit slack over Christmas, so here's a special summary of all the AFC Bournemouth action of the last few weeks. Right, well, the good, and it's probably the shortest segment of this video, we won our probably main winnable game, which was at home to Brighton. It wasn't a particularly convincing win in many ways, especially in the first half where Brighton were unlucky to go in behind at half time, but it was a good second half performance. We controlled it. Attacking players looked very bright, especially David Brooks, who is by the day looking like an incredible find. But yeah, we did our jobs there. It was a solid performance against a side on paper that is weaker than us. Other than that, there was a spirited 3-3 draw with Watford. That was our most recent league game, where we looked dead and buried 2-0 down after I think it was 25 minutes, but somehow pulled it back to 2-2, fell behind yet again, but then managed to pull it back, and really in the second half should have won it with the chances we had. So that was a performance where there was more good than bad. Over the Christmas period we have scored goals here and there, but yeah, we've at least looked solid at home over the Christmas period. Oh, and before I forget, there was also a gutsy performance away at Chelsea in the League Cup where we just narrowly lost and probably deserved to go to penalties, so there was that as well. The bad, there was quite a bit of this, mostly incredibly dodgy defensive displays against Brighton at home in the FA Cup most recently, where we lost 3-1 to some just poor slack defending, not tight enough to men, strange goalkeeping errors from Marta Boric, but then that was all capped off with an incredible 5-0, by the way, incredible, I don't mean in a good way, 5-0 defeat at Spurs, where we were just defensively catastrophic that day. In terms of attack, we weren't actually that bad against Spurs and arguably should have gone ahead before we fell behind, but you can't account for the mistakes that we were making at the back, and the fifth goal was just, quite frankly, humiliating the way they scored. It looked like, we looked like a League 2 side. No offence to League 2 sides, they play some good football, some of them. But yeah, we just looked atrocious. So yeah, that was the nadir really of the Christmas period for me. Oh, actually no, it wasn't. I'm moving on to that. But yeah, 5-0, our biggest defeat in the Premier League. That was definitely not a good moment. Now you think a 4-1 defeat would be better than a 5-0 defeat, but in many ways the 4-1 defeat at Old Trafford to Man United was the worst game over the Christmas period for us, because for the Spurs game, as I mentioned, we at least looked like we could score. Against Man United, we looked a mild threat, but we looked like we turned up and just didn't believe that we could get any kind of result at all. And that was the most disappointing thing for me, especially as so many clubs have been to Old Trafford this season and taken points, or at least given them a much better game. It was just very frustrating because in the build-up, obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is back as boss, but we just offered no resistance at all to what was, I don't think, a particularly great Man United performance. That was the annoying thing. Everybody said they were rejuvenated, but I thought we just gifted them goals, and yeah, it was just a horrible game to watch as an AFC Bournemouth fan, because you look at it and you think 4-1, it's bad, but they're an up and coming side now, but really it was so poor, and it was disappointing because it was a game where beforehand I had a small inkling that maybe if everything came together we could maybe get a shock, but from the very first minute you could tell that we just weren't up for the fight at all, and that was just disappointing. And that's been something that's kind of pervaded the whole of the Christmas period for me, really. I mean, we've been okay at home, obviously in Watford, and the Brighton game we had to win, and we did. But you look at our recent form, so many defeats in so few games, and yeah, it's just we've just not been good enough in the last couple of months against the better sides, which is a shame, because at the start of the season, that game at Chelsea, we had some good chances not to, we lost 2-0, but ultimately we did give them a game. But then there's games like Arsenal at home, where Arsenal are a good side, but you've seen in recent games like Brighton and Wolves at home, and even when they lost, they won narrowly against Huddersfield, that they can be taken on. And we just, the second half against Arsenal was just, we just let them win. I think that last minute defeat to Manchester United earlier in the season did more damage to the players than we possibly know. Obviously it's not helped by the injury crisis, where just so many players are just going down, we barely have any defensive cover. But yeah, overall that was the really ugly part of the Christmas season period for me. That Man United game summed it up, I think. But yeah, a player of this Christmas period, I think the fans have got it right. David Brooks won it, and I'd say it goes to him as well. He looks like he's increasing in skill level nearly every game. He looks like he's got so many tools at his disposal. He looks like he's having fun a lot of the time, which is, you know, amazing at the level he's playing at. And yeah, he just finds pockets of space. But some of the, you know, the goals he scored against Brighton, those were, you know, like goals. Not, well, you know, you can't compare him to Messi and players like that, but like, you know, top class players, he, you know, would do stuff like that. He felt like he won the game for us that day. So yeah, he's going to be an amazing player for us, and I just hope we can hold on to him for as long as we can. Oh yeah, as this is a summary video, I don't really have any opinions from anyone else. But yeah, I think a lot of Bournemouth fans were disappointed by the defensive nature, well, not defensive nature, the poor defending for our thrashings, because they were completely avoidable if we just hung into games. And I think Wolves showed us an example of what you can do at this level if you believe you can beat the top sides and you go with a proper game plan. I just think, and I think it's all well and good saying Eddie Howe plays, you know, live by the sword, die by the sword, attack every team, but you know, Wolves showed you can attack the top sides to an extent and get results, and I just don't see why. I still don't think Eddie Howe has a clear idea of what he can do against the top sides, because although obviously they're better than us in personnel and budget and infrastructure, I still think we could have given a lot of them a much better games than we have this season. And the fact that we've registered our biggest ever Premier League defeat just shows you that we're not improving in this area, and we're possibly getting worse because we've lost to every top 6 side so far this season, and it doesn't look like that's going to change anytime soon. But yes, thanks so much for watching this slightly pessimistic and downbeat video, but yeah, the next game is Everton away. It's a reasonably tough game. It's another one where you look at it and you think maybe we can get something out of it because Everton aren't that good themselves. But you know, if our defence defends like it has recently, then you know we've already shot ourselves in the foot. But hopefully, you know, you never know. I remain hopeful. But yes, please do subscribe to AFC Bournemouth Analysis. Comment, let me know what you think. Like this video. Follow AFCB Analysis on Twitter and Facebook. The links are in this video's description, but they're also here. But yeah, thanks so much for watching, and up the cherries in all departments.